What's good, my people? Back with another video. Today we're talking about how 50% of Americans cannot afford rent. It's over. We're done. All right, so let's get right into this video.
So 50% of Americans at this point can no longer afford rent. That's a great sign. That's a great sign that our country is doing well. Let's talk about it.
I just want to say I'm part of that 50%, man. I'm tired of this. I can't afford to pay my bills. I'm not going to cap. Without my parents' help, I'll be homeless. I'm done.
There has never been a time in this country that it's been more of a scam than it is right now. I'm going to tell you that. We have turned the basic human need for shelter into a derivative. We have turned your front door into a line item for some guy who works at a private equity firm whose idea of the American dream is just becoming an overlord. The hundreds of different houses where families can barely afford to pay their rents, and he can just kind of press down on.
That's my biggest problem with this. You got landlords who own, let's just be nice and say 10 properties. They're just sitting on their ass all day doing nothing, ordering DoorDash, going on vacation, enjoying life just because of their privilege. Meanwhile, you got somebody like me who has nothing. Like, my family helps me, thank God, but barely. If I'm being real, they don't really help me much. Like, compared to some of these people out here, some of these 20-year-olds who are getting their bills paid, like, bro, life is just ridiculous. It's unfair how unfair it is. And, you know, that's my bad. Nothing in this world is fair. I understand that. Nothing is fair, but lately, I've just been feeling like this system is bullshit.
Right? They're his serfs. Pay me now or I'll throw you into the streets. Like I said,
It's literally like blackmail. It's like they're holding it over your head. If you don't pay, you're out. You're going to be homeless. How is this legal? It doesn't make sense how we just let people get to these positions, let their bloodlines control what they have, and then everybody else, good luck. Good luck.
Everyone's talking about the GDP. Everyone's talking about how great the economy is doing. But it's an entire charade. We talk about the tariffs, right? The tariffs have had so much money, but 55% of the tariffs are being paid for by the American people. So the government is just harvesting money from the people like it's the new national crop.
And it's like, there's nothing we can do at this point. The game has been decided. It's over. No matter how hard you work, no matter what you do, you will not ever be able to get ahead. Unless your family owns a business that's very successful or multiple properties or is doing something in the government. Like, if you're not making hundreds of thousands a year, you are screwed. Long term, 10 years from now, this is just, it's so depressing, like, being a 26-year-old right now. Like, I'm not even sure what to do. There's such little hope for the future, and it's just like, it makes me want to end myself sometimes. I'm not gonna. I'm trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get up off my ass and make something. But it's hard.
People's lives don't matter anymore. You are just a nutrient to the spreadsheet of growth. So recent data from the 2025 State of the Nation's Housing Report just dropped. Let me tell you what, it's beautiful. Miserable report of sadness in America.
I actually heard about this. I heard 40% of houses are being bought up by equity firms. 40% of all the properties that are listed right now. That means in 10 years from now, equity firms will own, I think it was like 80% of everything. So 80% of everybody is going to be a renter. And that's just in 10 years. And that's for life. You're going to be a renter for life. In 10 years from now, 80% of the American population. Does that not make you like, what the fuck? Does that just not make you want to burn this whole system to the ground? I don't know. Like, maybe it's just me.
Over 50% of the people in America right now, over 50% of families can't afford to rent the home that they're standing in right now. That's over 23 million families here in America cannot afford to pay the rent that they're currently pen.
Rent. They can't afford rent. We're not even talking about a mortgage.
This is one of the reasons why you see household debt is at the highest that it's ever been, continuing to climb. And it's lunacy and madness. At the same time, we see people not correcting any kind of their behaviors, not adjusting their spending patterns. That's why you're seeing
And the thing is, people like me, our spending patterns is nothing, bro. We spend money on food, on rent, car insurance, car payment, electricity, heat, and then we're broke. We have no money. We have no more money for nothing. And that's just how it is for people like me. Like, we can't even fix our spending because we do not have any money. We spend it all.
being broken again and again and again when it comes to holiday spending. And the rest of the year, the spending is made up for by the top 5% of the country who are actually buying everything. The bottom 20% of the country is essentially, they're flatlined when it comes to consumer spending. They ain't spending shit because they don't have anything.
That's literally what I'm saying. That's me. I spend my money on my necessities and then I have nothing else. That's it. And it's not fun. It's miserable. Quite honestly, I ask myself almost every day, why am I still here? What is the purpose of this? I'm just a slave. Like, I'm not even doing anything. My ancestors would be very disappointed in me right now. Quite honestly, that's how I feel.
Over 50% of families that can't afford their rent, you know what that means? That means that the middle class can't afford to live. The middle class, by definition, should be the safe space where, hey, you're making it, right? You're making it. Life is good. You have everything kind of taken care of. As long as you work, you're fine. But that's not the case. That's why
Bro, people should be having outrage. People should be in the streets, like, going to the police stations. I don't even know what we should be doing. That's the main problem. There's so many of us. There's so many government officials, so many politicians, so many people. If the people come together, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to stop going to work? Are we supposed to burn down the police station? Like, what are we supposed burn down the White House? What are we supposed to do as the people? That's what I am unsure of. Like, how can I actually make a difference? I'm trying to start talking about this stuff, start sharing my opinion and how much I'm struggling, being open. So if people actually want to hear, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
class is dead.
And maybe if y'all got some advice, drop it in the comments. Tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, because I feel lost. I don't know, man.
You have the wealthy class, then we have the poors, the working class, right? The working poor. You are either wealthy in this country or you are part of the working poor. It doesn't matter if you're making six figures.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what your conditions really are. 50%, that's a massive number, and that's a massive problem.
That's insane. 50% of this country cannot afford rent. And we're just like moving on like everything is normal. This is just life. It makes me so frustrated.
23 million families, like I said, that are cost burden, which is a very Ivy League, very clean, very nice way of saying that their backs are about to be broken by the kind of debt and payments that they have to make every month. That means that 50% of households are one pop tire or one random root canal away from being homeless, essentially, not being able to pay their rent. And there's no national rent forgiveness program that is desperately needed. You want to correct things? Like I said, chopping away the social safety net in the middle of a heightened economic crisis and cost of living crisis isn't a way to fix the economy, right? The normalization of...
I just wanted to say, man, this is why I love this guy's content. Talking about like a rent forgiveness policy, quite honestly, that'll never happen in America until we have like economic, like a income, that universal income. That's the only time we'll get any rent assistance. But this guy speaks the facts. That's what we need in America. Young people like me are struggling. We need help paying rent. That's the main bill that we have to pay. And if we could save even 50% of that money that we're paying towards rent, and we're able to actually save it and try to eventually buy a house. Whatever, invest it. Life will be so much better. Like, this guy understands the young people and how much we're struggling. Not a lot of people who are older understand.
The term K-shaped recovery should be criminal, because a K-shaped recovery is not healthy. That is not a good thing. That K-shape, that's not 50% are on this side and 50% are down here. No, that's 1% are up here, 99% are down here. That is a massive problem. And
That's what we do. Trickle down economics. That's literally what we do. It's like you have the top 1% who has 90% of the wealth. Then you have the 99% of the people who got 10% of the wealth. Like, that's how it feels.
people just say, well, it's K-shaped recovery, we're working towards the right direction. You literally cannot work towards the right direction when you have a divergence of equity of such grand proportion that 50% of the country right now can't afford rent. That's one of the great reasons I say this thing is over. The American dream's over. Listen, when the American dream gets replaced by a landlord who uses AI to find out just how much blood he can squeeze out from you so you can still afford to be bled out next month, it's a problem. We've created a culture where ownership in this country includes an aspect where you have to stand on somebody else's neck so you can get up. But like I said, who's doing this really, right? Who's benefiting? Who's causing all this nightmare when it comes to rent? Is it mom and pop rentals? No. Listen, in my industry, I've talked to a lot of investment property owners, right? And many of them understand if no one's paying the rent, they're going to get their properties foreclosed on, because most people who have investment properties don't own them outright, right? They have mortgages they have to pay. They have to make sure that they can get people in those homes so that they can pay those bills, because most investment property owners, they're riding a fine line just like everyone else. They're just being a little proactive about their sleaziness. The big problem is the private equity firms, the property management groups. These are the problems. These are the reasons why your rent's getting so high. It's the same people who are they're hoping for a crash now, right? The Blackstones, the Progress Residentials. Listen, they're the people that in 2000.
This stuff really makes you feel like, what is the point of life when you realize you're just working to pay somebody else's mortgage? You're making them rich and you're saving nothing. It makes me feel so defeated. It's like, why am I in this position? Why are so many millions of people in this position where we have nothing and we're just paying for other people's success?
They didn't see it as a financial crisis. They saw it as a clearance sale. And they are praying for that to happen now. Normal people aren't buying houses. Like I said, they're priced out of it. So that means that, we're essentially just having giant renter communities, entire subdivisions that are built just for renting. In the second quarter of 2025, 33% of all single family homes were bought by investors, not by families. That is, of course, their communities, entire subdivisions that are built just for renting. In the second quarter of 2025, 33% of all single family homes were bought by investors, not by families. That is, of course, a problem. But when the average age of the first-time home buyer is in their 40s, and most of the assets and homes in this country are owned by people who are 65 and up, there's really no path of ownership anymore for the younger generation.
Why is there not a cap on the amount of properties that these old people can buy? These old boomers just buy. Like, if there's a cap, at least if they can only own, or if they own a certain amount, they have to pay much more in taxes, which would prevent them from even wanting to own so many properties. It's just a legal loophole for these rich assholes to buy everything and jack up the prices. There should be a limit on how things operate. Like, how many properties people can buy, how much they are able to actually do themselves. And if they do more than what they should be doing, they should have to be paying a ton of their profit towards taxes. It's just not fair towards the average American because we're struggling here. We are dying.
Those who are supposed to support this country. There's no incentive for Americans to keep working other than just keeping themselves fed. That's 1 out of 3 houses that are being bought up by investors just to be rented back by people who can barely afford to pay rent. And in many cases, rents cost just as much or higher than mortgages should. But with inflated prices and rates as high as they are, that's just where it's at. You can talk about lowering home prices, but that's not going to happen. Trump came out in an interview the other day saying that he doesn't want home prices to go down. He's saying, well, a lot of people took advantage of the pandemic and bought a lot of properties, and that's where most of their wealth is. Now, if we hurt that, we're going to hurt a lot of people who took advantage of that time. Yeah, that's a good thing. Take advantage of people who are opportunists, who are hurting the rest of the country.
So they can take advantage when it's beneficial for them. But us, we just have to deal with it, everybody else. Trump is part of the people who are taking advantage of those. Trump and his sons and all those people, bro, they were buying all the property. Of course he's going to be like, no, no, no. Those are my kids. We got to protect them. I hate this country so much. Like, the older you get, the more you realize how scripted and how fake and how rigged everything is. It makes you despise being part of America. I don't feel American at all. I have no loyalty towards this country. I genuinely hate our leaders and our politicians. I hate you. Pro-Israel, that's all you care about, Israel. You don't care about the average citizen. And that's why I think millions of people like me hate the government, hate being American.
I want to talk about being American first. Actually be America first. Being America first means the American people. Actually support them. Make sure that they have food. Make sure that they can pay their rent, pay their mortgage, actually be able to pursue some kind of ownership in this country and not just have it set up so 33% of all homes end up in the pockets of private equity firms and investors. Families need homes. People need homes. But no, forget about that. GDP is doing great. We are exactly where we need to be in this economy if you're rich. Because what these people do is they buy these homes and they put in ugly gray vinyl flooring. They give it a nice veneer, but at the same time, it's still filled with asbestos. It still has black mold that can come back at any time now. But they're going to jack up the rent 40%. And because they own enough homes in the area and they've inflated the prices, that means the prices of all the homes in the neighboring area are also going to go up, which means that those rents are also going to rise, which means as those values go up, these companies and individuals who own these investment properties can continue to take equity out of their homes, passing that new mortgage that they have, that new price that's elevated, onto the renter. Just a continuous cycle of those who have ownership of assets continuously juicing the renters. You really want to solve this problem, make it so private equity cannot touch single family homes. That's such an easy fix. Give them 5 years to liquidate their assets, to sell them off, right? It really increase the...
This will never happen because this is how America makes their money. This is how things are run. It's keeping the middle class poor, so the rich are the only ones who are actually able to buy and prosper. And then they control everything, and their bloodline remains on top. And that's how things have been going. I can't say how long it's been like that, but I know it's been like that for a very long time, and it's only been getting worse and worse and worse. And it's at the point where I don't even know how much worse it can get before this whole system collapses.
Inventory. We can talk about immigrants all day, but the fact is, if we're not building enough, and there's not enough homes on the market, and if you have entire subdivisions that are now being built specifically to rent, not to own, then the American first American dream will have no legs to stand on. People ask me on this channel all the time what my problem with landlords is, what my problem with people having a bunch of different homes that they can rent out. My problem with it is greed. That's my problem with most things in America. It simply comes down to greed. And I don't believe that it should be a constant competition to step over people's bodies just to make another dollar. Last year, 85% of all landlords raised their rent. And in 2026, they're expecting rents to go up all over the country 6% because the market supports it. The market supports it. The market supports servitude. That's what the market actually supports. We're moving towards a direction in America right now where the guy who works at an Amazon warehouse has to pay rent to a private equity firm who bought the house from another guy who works at the Amazon warehouse. So it's a closed loop, right? It's a closed loop. Once you're inside the poverty loop, you're meant to be trapped inside that loop. There's not meant to be a way for you to escape. The only way to really escape is just think that you don't need a home to live in and go live in your car. But that's becoming illegal. Van life is.
That's what I've been thinking lately. Like, I have no option. All you can do is make YouTube videos, work. And then at that point, it's like, what? I just do that forever? I might as well just make YouTube videos and not work and live in my car. Honestly, I'll probably get more views. People will probably be like, dang, I'm in a similar situation. Because so many of us are. I think that's like a thing that's starting to change. A lot of people are realizing that. I've been seeing a ton of car life content lately. I think there's a reason. That's what people are pushed towards. That's all they have left.
Being criminalized, living in your RV in many places where the jobs actually are is becoming illegal now. So your options are work to death or go to jail, right? Reduce things down to the most simplest level. That's in reality in America. That's the choices that you have.
Yep.
Work until you die or die in jail or die on the streets. That's it. So yeah, fuck the landlords. Fuck the landlords who call themselves small business owners who in reality just live in Scottsdale, Arizona. They have 6 townhouses that they haven't fixed anything since the Bush administration. Like, you're not a business owner, right? You're just a toll collector on the road to survival. You're just a parasite with a LinkedIn profile. But that's where we are in this country right now, ladies and gentlemen. We have millions of people who are spending more than 50% of their income just to pay their rent. You know what you do when you spend 50% on rent? You don't have kids, you don't have families, you don't start businesses, you just exist. You're a battery in the real estate market. Eventually, we're all just gonna work in a big, giant WeWork dormitory. We'll have community kitchens and shared sleeping pods. And the thing is, this will be lauded. They're going to say it's sustainable. This kind of downsizing is healthy for the economy. But those who are making...
I'm sorry I had to make this video, but today I was just feeling like saying the truth, man. What's going on? Not promoting none of that hip-hop culture, video games, just talking about reality and how terrible things are getting. It's so depressing. But if you're watching this video, I hope you can stay strong and get through it. Hopefully things will be better one day, but... what he's saying sounds right. It'll probably be a bunch of pods and people living in a community type apartment complex where there's a bunch of working roles assigned. Things are going to be very weird in the next 50 years, people.
Those profit from the economy aren't expected to downsize at all. They will live grander lives than anyone has ever experienced on this planet. In fact, that's already what they're doing.
Yeah. That's what the rich are doing. They already have all the properties they could ever want. They can go anywhere. They have access to anything, anyone. The rich have the best life they've ever had throughout history. They're able to do the most, control the most. It's only going to get worse from here. The rich are only going to get richer and keep us more enslaved. Unless we can do something as a community collective, people come together and we have to try to change the system. But the politicians only care about themselves and Israel, of course.
When they start talking about building things in space, listen, that's not for normal average person's benefits. These people don't want to be by you. They don't want to be by people who rent. They don't want to breathe the same air as a cashier at a grocery store. They don't want to be around you. You are filth. You are scum. So you have to realize these people are not your friends. These people are not your representatives. These people are your enemies. They want to see you in the dorms. They want you to have the community kitchens. They want you to have the shared space while they privatized luxury, where they've monetized freedom even more so than they have now. But that's life in the con capital of the world right now. And honestly, I wish you all the best of luck, because as this increases and as some corporate landlords decides that asset 402 needs to pay another 300-month security payment, but that asset is actually your car, because at some point cars have gotten so expensive that that's what private equity is going to get into. Even the cars on the side of the road will get eviction notices taped to the windows. But hey, go buy Bitcoin. Go get them, Tiger. Get out there and work. Listen, there's an escape. Get out of the country. Go somewhere else.
Where?
Find another place to be and find your happiness. That's the amazing thing to me, is the more I talk about escape from this country, in a place that, like, the only actual change that you can have in this country isn't going to be done peacefully, right? These people aren't going to let go of power just because there's a mob at the gates. They don't care if there's a mob at the gates because they have machine guns on the gates, you know? So it's like, at some point, like I said, the only option to actually get freedom and pursue opportunity in your life at some point is just going to be to escape the country. That's why I said, get ahead of the curve, you know? Find your place now. Look into work visa. If you have transferable skills, people say, well, I don't know anything about being a digital nomad. You don't need to be a digital nomad. Do you have a trade? Are you blue collar? You know, there's other countries you can go to. A lot of countries need skilled specialists, and they have special visas for those people, right? I know Australia is a pretty obvious one. I know there's a lot of Australians who watch this video, and yeah, listen, Australia is better than America.
Although I did think about the digital nomad thing. Y'all might catch me taking some international trips, doing some doing some vlogs. Maybe you'll catch me on Vogue 2 one day modeling. Who knows? Maybe you'll catch me there too, because I need money. So Vogue, if you need a boy, if you need a man, you know, some looks, hit me up. I can model.
You guys are happier. Is things expensive there? Is housing expensive there? Yeah, it's a problem. But at least you guys got koalas and shit, and that makes up for something, I guess. You got nicer beaches. But that's all we've got on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member. Had to kind of blow off some steam.
It's a good video, man. Let's just wrap this up by saying, if you're part of the 50% that can't afford rent right now, I hope the best for you. Stay strong. Don't give up. We got to start talking. We got to come together. We got to make change. Change won't happen if we're just silently struggling. We're not sharing our problems. So I hope you enjoyed this type of video. If you do, if you like this kind of content, you know, politics, reality, struggle, finances, let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think I should do. For the next video, subscribe, share, you know, all that beautiful stuff. So thank you for watching. Your boy. Catch you in the next one.